Hey there, fellow wanderers. Imagine stepping into a scene set centuries ago, the air heavy with the damp chill of a stone courtyard, echoing with bustling preparations. You arrive at the cusp of a medieval wedding nighter, world of both allure and caution. Candlelight flickers across thick stone walls, casting shadows that flirt between mystery and dread. The mingled scents of wax, smoke, and the lingering musk of an overcrowded hall fill your lungs with something both sacred and unsettling. But this isn't a fairy tale you've wandered into, far from it. This is history, raw and unfiltered, where surviving your wedding night could depend less on love and more on luck, lineage, and sheer strategy. So, before we dive deeper, I ask only this. If this kind of raw, unvarnished truth speaks to you, click like, hit subscribe, and leave a trace of yourself in the comments. Tell me your city, your time, your state of mind. Now, dim the lights. Let the hum of your fan blend with the wind of centuries past. Let's begin, and remember, in medieval times, even survival was a luxury. Picture yourself entering the grand hall, its vastness shrouded in a semi-gloom, shadows stretching where torchlight fails to reach. The clamour of voices reverberates as kin and strangers alike jostle for position, a microcosm of the wider medieval world, full of alliances, acquaintances, and the inevitable rivalry or two. You realize soon enough that the wedding feast has begun. Over there, under a canopy of florals and greens, sits the food-hole roasted swans, pies whose contents remain a mystery best, left unearthed, and goblets flowing with mead and wine. A historical fact worth noting here is that these feasts often lasted for days, testing the endurance of even the sturdiest gods of revelry. It's a riotous swirl of sights and sounds, but you're drawn to the oddly precarious nature of it all. A simple shift in the atmosphere, and what should be celebratory could turn precarious. The potential for overeating and succumbing to food that may have lingered a bit too long in medieval air introduces a risky gamble. As whispers of merriment float around, you overhear an intriguing tidbit that some dishes, seasoned lavishly with imported spices, were a sign of both wealth and exoticism. Yet, ironically, a recipe for indigestion or even accidental poisoning for the incautious or uninitiated. The sensory overload persists as you note the attire of the guests. Richly woven garments, yards of intricate embroidery and opulent display, which speaks to hierarchy and maybe reckless expenditure. The bride's gown, though stunning, hints at a weighty challenge. Thick with layers and embellishments, it carries the oppressive burden of tradition. A sly smile forms as you consider that, in modern terms, it's a wearable defiance of all notions of comforter, literally heavy symbolism. With jesters trying to snag your attention and minstrels filling the air with musical fables, each string plucked and every chord struck reverberates with tales of love, war, and an occasional lewdness for those inclined. Historians still argue whether these over-the-top festivities were truly joyful or thinly veiled societal obligations. As you take this in, letting the imagined reality soak into your senses like a warm, torrential bath, remember this is merely a glimpse of the grand tapestry of medieval matrimony. Many of these couples will vanish into annals unread. The tones soften, as do your breathing and heartbeat, aligning with the rhythm of an era both familiar and foreign. Here, where history lingers in every musty corner, the night is long and full of potential, a dance you're beckoned to join, cautiously and curiously, as the medieval foreground becomes your stage. And there you stand, aware that you're on the cusp of understanding why not every couple emerged victorious from their own wedding night. The tale unfolds with each medieval beat in our journey, a tapestry of tradition and peril, adventure braided with staid rites. Let's wander further, into the heart of this night, where the past lies patient for the telling. The hearty clamour of the feast takes centre stage, as guests, wrapped in the warmth of camaraderie and the glow of flickering torches, settle into the unruly arrangement of the table. It's hard to ignore the endless spread of enticing yet daunting medieval fare laid before them. This is the medieval wedding feast, a spectacle, renowned for both jubilation and overindulgence. Picture yourself seated behind a grand table, the noise of knives merrily scrapping trenchersa shared wooden platerizing above the other sounds. The delicious, if somewhat questionable, aroma envelops you. roasted meats rarely familiar to the modern palate, perhaps peacock or a well-presented boar, drawing beads of sweat from the brow above your furrowed contemplation. Feast days mean not just feasting on the obviouser, misplaced oyster, hinting at indulgent risk, may well find its way to your waiting lips. This moment becomes a gamble, worthy of note. In this medieval world, food is no simple staple. It is a testament to fortune and fortune-telling, a mainstream historical fact worth recalling. While feasts like these represented the heights of communal festivity, they were also a test of endurance. The medieval social calendar was as much about meals as merriment, where excess was not just accepted but expected, transforming weddings into mini-marathons. These revelries, lasting for several nights, demanded not just culinary stamina but acute awareness of social niceties. After all, navigating both the rich meats and richer egos required deft skills and certain dietary resilience. You're handed a goblet brimming with a lethe medieval drink of choice, with an earthy, yeasty aroma rising from it that challenges modern beer connoisseurs. It's only moments before the next course arrives, another deception cloaked in delight or discomfort, as the trestle tables sag under platters of brawn made from meat jelly, salt cod, or an apple pie seasoned with saffron, bringing a sunlit hue to protest the night's shadowy corners. A bit of historical intrigue flits through the ira, hint of levity in the quasi-dark. The idea that medieval folk believed, fervently it seems, that spices held the ability to warm humours, a quirky tidbit to remind yourself of. Yes, in medieval thinking, the cosmos themselves might be coaxed or calmed by such spiced selection. Despite the potential for bodily revolt, you can't help but return for more, shielded by a need for nightly survival. All this, however, is just a taste of what such a feast embodied. Imagine the riotous atmosphere under which you must navigate, weaving through raucous debates and jesters' crude tricks, your attention pulled taut between the dangers of consumption and the seductive allure of indulgence. The banquet hall may be grand, but it's an echoing vault of human foible and delight, guided by hands both steady and ruinous. As ceremonial toasts ensue, bringing the social pretenses to a bubbling climax, your senses are nearly overwhelmed. The odours of heavy sauces and potent ferments mingle with a hint of sweat from the dance floor just beyond the banquet hall. It's a place where joy is as inseparable from fear as the thinness of the veil upon the bride's hair. Such a setting is ripe for mirth, and equally ripe for mayhem, often dissolving the boundaries between merriment and menace. As the night stretches and the heat of the crowded room swells to challenge the nip of outside winds, you find it necessary to recalibrate your engagement with this feast. A gluttonous kinship binds the guests, and with each dish shared or hazardously hoarded, another layer of the night's complex tableau is revealed. Historians still argue whether such nights built lasting bonds or ephemeral, wine-drenched memories best forgotten. Yet at this moment, historical debates dissolve with each shared laughter, lingering glance, or hushed whisper clues of the social dance as intricate as any pas de deux. This immersion, therefore, is your momentary rest, a calm within the medieval stormer place to ground yourself amidst the chimes and charms of yesteryears, preparing for what follows. You realize that every feast is just a prelude to the labyrinthine challenges ahead, a time-honored preamble where culinary bravado brims alongside the unknown. Take a deep breath and appreciate what such communal indulgence means in this context-shared narrative, still whispering through time. As you place your empty cup amongst the debris of spent delicacies, the story unfolds like a tapestry, each detail moving inexorably toward the wider mysteries of the medieval night, now looming large. As the backdrop of silver and smoke inches open, urges beckoning yet undiscovered, you're ready to venture beyond, toward new possibilities and promises, idyllically unkempt. Therein lies the joys of history's rough embracier terrain visited through hunger and humour, intrigue and insight, promising ever deeper dreams, if only daring to delve further. The feast recedes into the background, as your attention turns to the medieval wedding attire spectacle in itself. Vividly, you observe the sartorial weightiness of noble garments, an expression of both status and, paradoxically, vulnerability. Imagine wrestling yourself into layers upon layers of opulent, embroidered fabric, The intricacy of the embroidery and the richness of the fabric speak volumes about the prosperity and familial alliances at Playa. Silent language woven in silk and satin. The bride, adorned as though plucked from a fresco, dazzles with her wedding garment, though it's not the fairy tale gown of modern dreams. This medieval marvel is a structured fortress of cloth, a bulky tapestry of history and expectation. You sense the tug of a garment that's less about movement and more a protective shell, each layer possibly concealing 1,000 family secrets, yet ensuring that any sudden jaunts or frivolous dancing are promptly addressed by the laws of gravity and caution. As you study the scene, you are reminded of the quirkiest of medieval sartorial choices, like the necessity for couples to adorn themselves with colours iconic to their lineage. Among these, blue signifying purity and piety, a deep red, suggesting vitality, lends historical depth. Such clothing was not just a garment, it was a proclamation, imbued with symbolism as rich as the dyes themselves. When the bride lifts her feet in even the gentlest attempt at nimble movement, the weight of her attire pulls harder, not unlike an anchor for her aspirations and freedom. The mighty headdresses, papal-like in height, pair with cascading veils ornamental, yet practical barriers to any particularly strong gusts of medieval wind. The silk is cool against the skin, though its encumbrance multiplies under the heat of a bustling crowd, making the air feel all the more non-existent. As fabric rustles like autumn leaves in an orchard, a stark realization washes over you. Fashion, with all its grandeur, serves a dual-purpose, part protection, part prisoner. The burden it bestows is only outdone by the impracticality each dramatic element poses. You can almost feel the silent warmth of a collective sigh as another seam pulls against the weight of movement, a subtle choreography between person and fabric. Consider this historical fact. Clothing among the elite was so valuable that it was listed in estates as assets passed from one generation to the next. The cloth that envelops you tonight may well be the handiwork cherished from a relative long decreed to dust, and yet the irony in its inherited form is not without whimsy. Could this garb, quite literally, be the representation of clothes nay make the man, yet do unmake the dancer? Your mind then flickers toward debates amongst historians, who still argue whether marriages performed in these garments were meant to stifle individuality, or if such encumbrance was a strategic deterrent against temptation or treachery. Yet for you, immersed in the whispering elegance of fabric and form, such debates fade into the backdrop of hearty laughter, companionable or otherwise, as you continue to marvel at the spectacle of it all. At the day's end and night's beginning, these ancestral threads unravel their tales, mixed with silk and flowery prose, weaving identities into the communal tapestry. Every ripple in golden thread, every flash of copper brocade as torchlight finds them, is a reminder of society's woven threads of shared history, heavy with tales yet echoing in silence until tomorrow arrives. In this moment, you capture a snapshot of the era, swathed in garments too glorious and cumbersome to survive unscathed in the mists of time. Yet, in this myriad of swirling fabric and ceremony, the essence of a medieval wedding night attire is clear. It's an anchor, a beacon, and a liability an intricate dance, where those wrapped in the cloth waltz along the dividing line of tradition and temptation, ultimately challenged not just by love, but the stoic stoop of ornate apparel. Now, as the echoes of fabric and festivities resonate through the medieval air, the candlelight flickers against brocaded backs. There's an inevitable pull to proceed without knowing precisely where the thread will guide you deeper into the night, where history beckons with stories unspooled in the folds of time. With the feast's merriment lingering, you find yourself swept along by the thrumming energy of the medieval wedding procession. It's a cacophony of anticipation and nostalgia, a living river of relatives, friends, and acquaintances gathered from distant corners to partake in this significant ritual. You're swept into a teeming crowd, a pulsating entity sharing revelries, as the nightscape unfolds around you, festered with pathways uncertain and cobblestones uneven under hurried feet. The procession is no simple stroll. It's an orchestrated march of tradition and pageantry. As your pace quickens to match the crowd, you're keenly aware of the procession's ethos, where each participant takes their place in a grand tapestry akin to an oral saga being written with every step. Marked by both pomp and potential peril, this journey from feast to final rites echoes across Europe's medieval expanse, a homage to rituals as varied as the dialects spoken within the throng. Bright torches bob and weave as children and jesters rush ahead, their laughs and sudden shrieks of delight or surprise punctuating the night, while elders weave tales of ancestral lore, their voices hushed amid the commotion. Skirts swish and weary shoes scuff along pathways, a harmony of noise and disorder, signaling a union bridging both families and fiefdoms. You can sense the excitement, that building crescendo of footfall and breathy atmosphere swells around you, even as stone villa or rustic barn edges into view, hinting at their familial ties yet held sacred. Amidst this bustling caravan, you overhear whispers about a quirky medieval tidbit, that in some regions, cats might be tossed over the rooftops during such processions, it's said to bring good luck to the newlyweds, albeit at the expense of feline dignity. This peculiar tradition might seem outlandish today, yet it infuses the air with another dimension of medieval charm, just half-shadowed by the full moon's glow. This harmonious chaos is maintained by an unspoken code of conduct, where heralds and family patriarchs project their silent authority, their keen eyes scanning for mishaps, their presence an anchor amidst the swirling current. To step out of line, either accidentally through misstep or purposefully through merry insolence, was often a mildly perilous adventure. Slipping on this unstable track could mean more than a scraped, near-sly joke of the medieval world manifested upon untoward wanderers. Historians still argue whether these processions served primarily as a means of ensuring the community's blessing or if underlying political motives wound through the crowds, subtly orchestrating alliances and power plays. Yet as you walk, you sense how deeply rooted this procession is in kinship and collaboration, the dense twilight cocooned in mutual shared purpose. The chilly night air nips at your cheeks and arms, the chill counterbalanced by the crowd's body heat, its press and embrace both embracing and encumbering. An odd yet comforting spectacle swarms about, ribbons streaming from wooden poles, festoons of freshly picked flowers swaying in time with the chattermarks of merriment, transporting all into a reverie transcending festival boundaries. As the torches flicker, casting grins and grimaces beneath well-worn cloaks, laughter intermingles with whispered vows, planting seeds of stories in the fertile soil of memory. The procession's rhythm is akin to a chance happening of universe alignment, a phenomenon embraced in communal scent and shared glow. Here, amid the joy, you reflect on how these souls tread a dance as old as time itself, steeped in the comfort of tradition. The pathway is now a pilgrimage, a movement both beautiful and burdensome, a sonorous hymn, tracing stories unrecorded in any scrolls, yet whispered through generations. As the procession meanders toward its culmination, you wonder what legacies and lessons will carve their way into history from this very night's celebratory journey. With each step taken, day moves imperceptibly into night, leaving behind echoes of lives caught in the cusp of matrimonial promise. You dwell within the heart of this medieval passagier, ceremonial traversal capturing the disciple of tradition, where joy laces every inhalation, fortifying you for the steps not yet taken. As this living liturgy converges towards history's embrace, the procession's undulating path impels you onward toward destinations unknown, carried on the tempo of your breath. A shared celebration, drawing you deeper into medieval interludes where dreams drift alongside torchlit shadows, ever reminding you of the stories waiting to unfold. The clamor of the procession fades as you step into the cool, sacred darkness of the medieval church. The stone walls, piercingly cold against the warmth of the festivities outside, stand testament to a time unyieldingly etched in history and belief, a world where the line between faith and the tangible was woven as tightly as any tapestry. Here, amidst this solemn space, the church ceremony unfolds as an intersection of the spiritual and social, a pivotal moment in the medieval wedding day. The air is thick with the scent of candles and incense, as centuries of tradition echo in the soft murmur of voices that fill the vaulted space. You tread on stone floors, polished smooth by generations, each step drawing you further into the echo-filled solemnity. The quiet rustling of robes whispers through the quietude, a sacred dance between the divine and the earthly, set against a backdrop of flickering candle flames, casting soft shadows upon weathered stone. The priest's voice rises, solemn and rhythmic, spinning tales of love, commitment, and divine blessing. Even amid the sanctuary, though, there's an undercurrent of tension. A sudden cough, an occasional shuffle from the pewsall, remind you that marrying in a medieval church was an affair fraught with its own challenges. Consider for a moment the sheer weight of expectation bearing down upon the bride and groom, intensified by the hushed gasps and clasped hands that surround the community, alive with the promise of this union and the weight of its unending vows. A mainstream historical fact slips to mind. Medieval church ceremonies were not simply about love between two people. They were significant social contracts, garnished with obligations that stretched far beyond the spoken vows. Yet, this was just one piece of the complex puzzle. For some, it was a spectacle to bear witness to, while for others, it was a keenly felt affirmation of divine order. This space, concurrently austere and comforting, acts as a thread in the tapestry of a marriage's medieval roots, grounding the couple in shared ritual and lineage. For them, it's a place where hopes are forged and promises abound, steeped in the echoes of a choir that sings as both poem and prayer, the melodies intertwining with the cool stone vibrato. Nearby, a jittery child tugs on their gowner bride's near collapse during a lengthy kneel, as pulse flickers faster under layers of linen. Such rituals bring to the fore the curious juxtaposition of joy and vulnerability. An open scholarly debate maintains that kneeling, an act symbolically humbling, often rendered the bride and groom starkly aware of the unease and fatigue settling into their bones. As the couple seals their vows, a priest's benediction layering tranquility upon their shoulders, a peculiar transformation occurs. Barely visible behind heavy veils and robes, expressions leave the light uncertain, but tell a tale in their motion. Perhaps, too, they ponder what lies beyond the doors, where laughter and life trickle back into being. Historians still argue whether church ceremonies carried more weight than civil or familial blessings. Some believe that the church served as the touchstone, the moral fibre holding society in sway. Yet even within sacred walls, influenced by myth and lore alike, one can almost sense the choir's notes curling onto themselves, reluctant to fade. And so the ceremony reaches its notable highlights, culminating gracefully hinting at what promises and perils still await. As the couple stands together, cloaked in this hallowed silence, entrusting their future to sacred whispers and divine decorum, you feel the gentle flit of change, the unraveling of ceremony as it morphs into life, weaving past, present, and future into one tightly bound cord. As you exit the church, the chill of stone and the low murmur of ceremony lift from your shoulders, replaced by the swell of festive air. It's a transformative passage, the push from sacred space into the ever-brightening realm of what this medieval night still holds. Histories thread themselves anew within the shadow of these ancient halls, carrying you forward into realms known only in dreams and whispered fables. The night calls, a tapestry not yet woven, as anticipation wraps tightly around you. Something deeper beckons, as the medieval swirl of narratives continues, each step guiding you further along the winding path of ceremony and tradition. As you step from the sacred confines of the church, the night enfolds you once more. The air is filled with a heady blend of flowers twined into arches, the earthy scent of damp cobblestones, and the distant hints of revelry. Yet amid these simpler pleasures, a curious practice awaits: the application of henna and woad. These ancient dyes, both artistic and deeply symbolic, are integral to medieval wedding nights, infusing the occasion with a vibrancy and fervor that transcends mere decoration. Picture yourself seated among a group of women, their fingers deftly tracing patterns with the meticulous precision afforded by generations of shared knowledge. Henna, a paste made from crushed leaves, is applied intricately to skin its coppery scent tinged with the spiciness of the evening air, and it leaves bold, winding designs upon hands and feet. The patterns they leave are whispers of continuity, veins running through centuries of time, each design speaking its own language of love, protection, and blessing. As the evening deepens, one woman gestures towards a pot of woad, the bluish dye extracted from the leaves of the woad plant, bitter to the scent, yet vibrant in hue. Woad, far from merely decorative, is swirled with folkloric essence. It's a nod to traditions and territories fiercely guarded and proudly paraded. Ancient tales suggest it was used for more than beauty, with some whispering of its success in warding off evil spirits and alchemical cloak for the bride against malevolent forces wishing to disrupt her union. A quirky tidbit catches your ear, shared amidst the soft laughter of women painting by torchlight. Certain medieval regions believed that smearing a bit of woad on the left cheek could grant insight into future marital arguments through dreamsa. Jest of a superstition. Humour, tinging the murmur of playful jest. As you marvel at these colourful applications, touching your now decorated skin, you realize the palpable weight of tradition beneath this vibrant facade. It's a sartorial shade, infused not just with colour, but with histories unuttered, promises etched beyond the skin's surface. The dye's cooling touch is a reminder of interstitial rituals, a bridge between the faithful solemnity of the church and the expectancy of looming revelry. Despite the allure and artistry, the process is not without its risks. You observe as a young bride-to-be finds herself wincing slightly, a trace of discomfort weaving through her eyes as the henna begins to itch, a sign of potential allergies or the need for her cooling touch of patience. Still, her determination remains unmarred, another testament to the resilience requisite of medieval matrimony. As the final patterns dry beneath a waning moon, the dyes themselves become stories, each design, a narrative scribed in rich colour. Historians still argue whether these traditions were fully understood or embraced by all medieval societies, or if they were stylized to impress upon outsiders the depth of cultural achievement. Yet, for you, the peaceful echo within each intricate swirl tempers this debate, a testament to beauty steadfast in complexity, fleeting as it might momentarily appear. The night breathes through the dyes. The intricate patterns flick on your skin like shadowed vines in torchlight, a deep connection etched between you and those who came before. The fragrances of the past meld into the present, the essence of henna and the rarity of woad forging a link that binds both people and time beneath the glistening, time-worn stars. As you rise, preparatory flowers and floral scents now harmonize with the subtle metal of woad and earthen henna, languid tendrils that wend their way through the night's ebon tapestry. Whether for beauty, belief, or simple kinship, these dyes carry forth shared stories, lit anew by the soft touch of a medieval night, still unfurling its full narrative. Rejoining the procession, you carry with you the indelible mark of tradition tones, dipped in nature's colour, ready for the steps ahead. Here, amid echoes of distant laughter and low harmonies, your path is coloured by narrative threads of history's embrace, woven anew with every step you take. The night progresses, and you find yourself enraptured by the pulse of medieval music and merrymaking that fills the air with its complex rhythms. The musicians, perched near the centre of the gathering, strike up a lively tune that ripples through the crowd like a playful breeze. Their instruments, a mix of lutes, flutes, hurdy-gurdies, and drums, create an intricate tapestry of sound that beckons you closer, a vivid symphony where notes dance exuberantly, weaving between bodies and shadows. The beat is infectious, a living heartbeat that thumps through the air, enticing feet to tap and hands to clap in sporadic displays of rhythm and delight. You find yourself moving almost involuntarily, the compelling urgency of the music urging your limbs to join this joyous celebration. It's difficult not to succumb to the lure of the minstrels, their melodies a siren song offering revelry and mirth. Drawn into their orbit, you note a vibrant curiosity. The medievals serving a rivalrous dance-off, with locals versus visiting guests in a semi-comedic articulation that leaves laughter floating in its wake. Jest is part of the night's revelsome art form alone, where mimicry and sly comment accompany each musical turn. There's a slyness in jest, a modern echo in its frivolous derriere-friendly banter orchestrating askance looks and warm camaraderie. Yet amid the dizzying tempo, there lurks a risk often disregarded by the euphoric. The sheer blare of medieval music can be overwhelming, a swell of cacophony that envelops the senses. In this time, the noise laws and decibel awareness we're familiar with remain strangers, here a delightful peril, risk shimmering like a hidden smile betwixt muted lanterns. A historical fact brightens the scene like a shooting star. Musicians in medieval times played a crucial role beyond entertainment. They were conveyors of news, keepers of stories, spreading both merriment and current events with a lyrical twist. Music bound communities, not just in celebration, but in shared knowledge, often the heart and voice of towns and cultures once separated by fields and forests. You witness dancers forming a circle, a whirling dervish of limbs and laughter that pulses in a continuous loop, a human kaleidoscope under the vaulted sky. Their movements speak of stories told in figures and patterned allegory, writ among spinning skirts and unfurled sleeves. Here and there, the flicker of a wink or the glow of a smile peeks through, illuminating brief boundaries between dances that often lead to entwined steps, symbolic of temporary unions forged amid music's transient festival. The medieval world was no stranger to beliefs both practical and peculiar. Listen now as a fringe tidbit of lore unfurls. In certain regions, it was believed that playing specific tunes could invoke spirits of prosperity or mischief, depending on the melody. Such songs were performed with great care, lest they invite chaos amid apparent calm. Imagine the weight of a tune possessing power beyond its notes. Historians still argue whether music and such merry gatherings served to knit tighter communal bonds, or whether they acted as a pressure valve, staving off tensions that the stresses of medieval life invariably sowed. One imagines it was both, entwined together an audible echo of the night's layered tapestry. Immerse yourself in this collective throng, the notes now a chorus of joy and shared heritage, a melody finding purchase in your heart. Lines between individual and communal blur seamlessly into music, melodies carrying you forward as the trance deepens, keeping time with the heart and anchoring the soul to this woven present. And as the final strains of the night's harmonies wane, leaving trails of warm vibrations in the cool air, your reflections cast back a collage of sound and movement, ricocheting through time. The medieval night offers no pause, but draws you onward an unending symphony of moments yet written, where music and history entwine anew within the echo chamber of dreams. As the night lingers on, the echoes of music still shivering through your spine, you find yourself at the tail end of the wedding feast. The plates are pushed aside, the remnants of ancient recipes clinging stubbornly to dishware. The once bustling banquet hall begins to settle into a mellower hum, the frenetic energy simmering into quiet conversations and drowsy reflection. Here, at this junction between presence and exhaustion, you witness a transition, a subtle pivot from revelry to post-prandial calm. The shadows lengthen in the flickering torchlight, casting long silhouettes that sway in gentle conversation with some gentle jest. A sensation of fullness permeates the air, not just from the hearty sustenance consumed, but from the whirlwind of emotions and experiences shared this evening. A heady blend encompassing both satisfaction and languor. It's a unique moment, one where the camaraderie of shared indulgence is palpable, drifting through a haze of peaks and pine lights, drawing connections through an invisible thread. Scanning the room, you notice the guests settling, some thoughtfully on benches, others just leaning into the comfortable hush enveloping everything. Yet, while many appear lulled into this soporific embrace, there remains a distinct air of expectation, a tangible excitement teetering on the edge of repose like a juggler's final careful act. The feast's end is not merely about its conclusion, it's a gateway to what follows, and among the residual conversations are whispers of anticipation, eyes darting toward escape routes and potential future exploits. Beneath the gentle hush, a quirky side note surfaces from the medieval ethos. Post-feast games and challenges were not uncommon, with some guests embroiling themselves in impromptu contests of strength or strategian instantaneous sport deemed healthy for digestion, or so went the tongue-in-cheek assertion. These activities served as both entertainment and competition, an opportunity for guests to prove their mettle after sampling the richness of the feast. You find amusement in the balance that now plays before you, the predictable tilt from the boisterous high to contemplative relaxation. Yet it's more than simply digesting food. As tales are spun and wisps of conversation meander, a collective realization settles over the rumor-subtle whisper following the heavy meal, ushering in a rich tapestry of reflection, potential, and storytelling. Historians still debate whether this blend of food-induced serenity and medieval storytelling greased the wheels of social agreement, or if it was simply a convenient side effect of letting wine and food work their magic. Does storytelling post-feast serve a socio-political function? Or is it merely an expression of human needs, to connect and laugh at the stories of an interconnected medieval universe? The room makes for an odd theatre, patrons relaxing into the slower rhythms, echoes of challenge yet warmth shimmering in the draughts weaving between stone walls. Half-held smiles and shared glances reassure you that whatever unfolds next tonight, each participant here is woven into a larger story or drama that transcends the evening itself. As you observe the guests winding down, the interconnectedness of their tales echoes like the last strains of a reveler's tune. The feast may conclude, but the night has yet to release its grip. You feel poised at a threshold, the feast having drawn a line marking the past, and what lies beyond the uncharted, expectant realm of a medieval wedding night. In this moment, as conversations wax and wane under flickering candles, you become a silent partner to an era of tales whispered across cobble and hearthlight. With this juncture, you stand on the cusp of completion and creation, tastes of the past melding contemplatively amidst the faint, lingering chime of cups. The night draws breath, drawing you forward to weave the next chapter of revelry and repose amidst the medieval tableau where survival hinges not just on what was shared, but on the endless opportunities waiting beyond the feast. As the doors to the banquet hall swing open and guests begin to drift toward the outdoors, you're reminded of an ever-present challenge in medieval times: the unpredictable weather. The evening thus far has been a resplendent tapestry of warmth and camaraderie within the convoluted heart of stone halls, but stepping outside is a different matter entirely. The air bites at your exposed skin with fresh zeal. The chill creeps up like an uninvited guest, souring the merry glow of feasting just left behind. The cloak you wrap around yourself feels less like fashion and more a necessary armor against the elements, your trusted shield, in a time where forecasting means deciphering cloud patterns and peasant gossip. Should a winter gale decide to sweep through, the embers of your good mood could easily find themselves snuffed out despite the best-laid plans. You cast an eye skyward, the stars twinkling defiantly against the backdrop of midnight's velvet expanse. Yet ominous clouds loiter on the horizon like sentries, whispering foreboding thoughts through rustling leaves and nodding branches. It's a reminder that in this age, a beautiful evening can turn tempestuous in a heartbeat, where a riotous storm could spell disaster for an unsuspecting celebration dashed unceremoniously by torrents. Imagine, then, the additional anxiety for hosts and guests alike. With no reliable recourse against nature's caprices, no umbrellas or weatherproof shelter seach, glance at the fluctuating sky becomes a calculated risk. Consider the fall of festivities should a particularly determined storm descend upon nuptial proceedings, drenching both participants and meanings beneath persistent rain. Enter this world with light-hearted humor for a moment. An old woman standing nearby rolls her eyes heavenward, mischievously recounting with flourishes a local tale, hinting that, should the wind blow from the east during such a gathering, a pair of newlyweds might find themselves blessed with trickster children in 9 months' time. Whimsical, if slightly ominous, promise the wind alone might carry. The clash of joy and concern underscores the night's mysteries, illustrating society's age-old dance with weather's mighty whimsy challenge shared across generations and geographies. Amid the jest and trepidation, there emerges a historical fact worth dwelling on. Medieval humans, ever the resourceful artists of ceremony, often lined their cloaks with furs not just for opulence, but practicality. Here, the free flow of mingled warmth is a luxury, more a union of community than the lavishness of cloth. Yet this medieval experience, whether under sudden drizzle or star-speckled wonder, is not impeded by mere meteorological threat. Tolling bells from distant chapels and the sound of footsteps on the path echo across the landscape, forming a seamless blend between nature's orchestrations and human celebrations. The coherence of these elements marrying within the unknown, the predictably unpredictable, seems to shout that connection thrives in communal perseverance. Historians still argue whether such climatic diversions built resilience or simply underscored a fondness for storytelling that held these nights together. The produce of legends springs forth, not in the face of challenges avoided, but of hardships confronted and overcome, hints of cheerful nostalgia converging upon tradition's restless edge. As you draw your cloak closer and venture to engage with guests threading through garden paths or bonfire gatherings, you witness tiny exchanges, nods, whispers, laughter bubbling alongside ambient music and drifting song. Each breath cycles out and back in, a living reminder that the night's character is not owned by the winds alone. The embrace of storytelling stretches across petals and parchment-like leaves, each whisper seeing you forward, protected by the collective embrace of hearth-like warmth. You stand witness as guests recede into the fold of lesser-lit corners, drawn by the promise of shared heat or soft-spoken exchange. The medieval dance continues beyond weather's whimsy, the night forever drawing toward deeper secrets and softer echoes, where new stories take shape, where communal spirit merges, spinning tales anew under the watchful eyes of an unpredictable, enthralling sky. As the evening continues beneath the mysterious expanse of the medieval sky, your mind wanders to the wealth of superstitions that color this night. These beliefs, woven into the tapestry of medieval life, are both a source of comfort and trepidation for those gathered. They whisper through the cool night air, as much a part of the festivities as the music and merriment. Here, where the known and the unknown mingle freely, superstitions provide their own brand of magical thinking, offering a sense of control over the unpredictable whims of the world. You overhear clusters of guests sharing hushed exchanges about the various customs meant to safeguard the newlyweds from unseen forces. Each whisper holds a unique charm and incantation against the capricious nature of fate. One charming tradition involves placing a coin under the bride's shoe, a symbol meant to ensure prosperity and ward off the evil eye. It's a small gesture, but one packed with significance, speaking to an era when every step carried the weight of expectations and hopes for a bountiful future. A delightful, if somewhat eerie, tidbit captures your attention. In certain towns, it was considered vital to hang bundles of garlic or herbs around the entrances to ward off malevolent spirits or ill-intentioned guests, a practice likely bolstered by the pungent aromas believed to repel any lurking mischief. The subtle waft of garlic in the air is quickly embraced by your senses, binding the ensemble of spices and night air into something Mauryan ancient ward against the supernatural. But amidst these charming, or pungent, practices lies a subtler challenge. The very act of acknowledging superstitions can shift the ceremony's dynamic, giving them unintended sway over the hearts and minds of those merely suspending belief. Yet, this is medieval life, where reality skirts tangible borders with the ethereal, and every action bears the potential to invoke fortune or folly. In this medieval macrocosm, it's humbling to realize that these beliefs are not just relics of an antiquated worldview. They're testaments to a time when humans sought deeper connections with the unseen, weaving protectiveness and mystery into the social fabric. The shared understanding of superstitions bridges gaps, reinforcing community while offering narratives that transcend any single truth. A historical fact interlaces neatly here. Medieval folklore placed great emphasis on the interplay between nature and mankind. Farmfolk and nobles alike sought guidance from signs, be they shifts in weather, movements of animals, or whimsy in shadow. Storytellers found rich soil for their craft in these occurrences, and tales of fairies, spirits, and otherworldly forces grew like wildflowers in the collective imagination. Historians still argue whether these superstitions genuinely alleviated tensions or offered placebo-like comfort in the face of life's uncertainties. Perhaps they did both, providing reassurance, sparking curiosity, or simply adding a flavor of wonder to the already elaborate human drama playing out under the medieval starlight. You watch as the groom steps lightly over a threshold as his bride follows, a gesture believed to prevent ill fortune from entering their future home. A gentle metamorphosis from shared belief into playful participation. The scene is timeless yet fleeting, a whisper carried on the night's draught, binding all present with a common thread of custom and ritual. Above you, the night sky spreads its inky wings, stars glancing down upon the celebrants below as these manifestations of belief continue to cloud the normality. It's a time when stories are made, replete with enchantment and history's fragrant breath. As guests meander throughout the celebration, smiles and stories abound in superstitious harmony, suspended in the glow of shimmering lamplit warmth. Connection grows rooted in both reality and the mysteries lingering at the horizon. And so, amid whispered superstitions and half-formed dreams, the soft, unseen contours of medieval night enfold you, promises glinting like gems in the silken darkness a comfort, cast upon the very night where past and present coalesce. As the evening settles into its own rhythm, the guests gradually disperse, moving on to the more private customs of the evening, the essential wedding night rituals. These are traditions steeped in expectations, woven tightly with cultural fabric, that map out the steps the newlyweds must embark upon. As you've navigated through feasts and festivities, it becomes apparent that this night demands both adherence and adaptation to age-old customs of path, as much about tradition as it is about transition. Within the privacy of the chamber outfitted for the newlyweds, a quiet assumption hovers like a suspension bridge in evening, both symbolic and peculiar, with its roots deeply entrenched in societal expectations. The room itself echoes with the weight of anticipation, heavy velvet curtains drawn to seclude the lovers from the outside world, flickering candlelight casting intricate shadows, mirroring every whispered vow with a shadowy dance on thick stone walls. You discern the aroma of dried herbs tucked into the corners for good luck, a fragrant potpourri of lavender and sage intended to inspire both romance and serenity. The air carries a palpable blend of nostalgia and hope, each breath imbued with the wishes of guests now dispersed to other pursuits. Consider for a moment the social significance of this night. It's a ceremony in itself, a rite of passage marked by customs handed down through generations. The mainstream historical fact here is that a medieval wedding night was not merely about privacy. In many cultures, it was a public affair. Witnesses might have hovered outside to ensure that the marriage was consummated, a vestige of the belief that the union must be both legal and spiritual. Adding to the night's oddity is a quirky tradition, whispered among handmaids and virile jesters alike. The ceremonial gifting of fertility tokens, small carved objects, perhaps in the form of rabbits or fish, intended to bless the marriage with prolificancy. These jests align with the deeper thread of marital expectation, a private symbol exaggerated to an oft-public performance. It's moments like these that shape the wedding night as a reflective tapestry of societal views and values, underpinned by legendary tales and satirical asides. Historians still argue whether such practices engendered genuine romantic connection or if they reflected puritanical standards disguised as collective celebration. Was it tradition or obligation, truth or folklore, turning the pages of matrimonial myths? Here, in this intimate setting, whispers of far-off voices echo through the silence, a gentle chorus of advice from those already dyed in the wool of tradition. The newlyweds are center stage to an audience hinted at by history, filling the room not with their visible presence, but with memory's persistent hum. The couple's whispers, laughter, and shared looks of hesitancy and excitement slip in parallel to these ghosts of expectation. And there you stand, an observer to this drifting that fuses moments caught between cultural memory and familiar exploration. The chamber brims with the night's complexities, like a library with scrolls not yet unraveled, each a perspective on what this night has been and will be. The flames flicker their stories within candle-lit alcoves, painting vivid strokes upon the duo's path from vibrancy to serenity. Listen closely. The blessings of family life breathe through brick and timber, with an apricot warmth during these minutes of modern-languaged intimacy. Each guest embraces their own continuation of the night, in hushed tones and coiled embers, grounding a union meant not only for two souls, but a broader community. Thus, the couple drifts into this medieval rite with steps harmonized by ancient songs and softened against parapets worn from the passage of mulled wine and history's love. As the night shuffles forward with a centuries-old rhythm and plays out its quiet progression, you're wrapped not only in the folds of presence, but in the layers and echoes of tradition, story-fetching sunlight from shadows born in candle beams, within a moment expanded into authentic whispers, stretched across the night. You've moved with the pulsating rhythm of the feast and dance, stepped into the rich tapestry of superstitions, and now you find yourself pondering the bedtime accommodations of our medieval couple. As the evening unwraps its darker layers, there's a persistent challenge lingering like a whisper too loud to ignore. Where, exactly, Do the newlyweds find rest amid the sprawling chaos of a medieval celebration? It's a logistical conundrum wrapped in tradition, necessity, and occasionally discomfort. Navigate with me now into the labyrinth alleyways and into the rooms set aside for this conjugal retreat. You might assume that the rich opulence of the night's festivities extends seamlessly into bedrooms, yet medieval reality diverges. Here, the preparation of a wedding chamber is an endeavor in itself, the most coveted shades of cozy and grandiose, threaded with practicality that only the luckiest might secure. Picture entering a modest chamber, bedecked with heavy drapes and straw-stuffed mattresses placed upon wooden frames. The straw, faintly sweet with earthy undertones, crinkles with intent as it provides not luxurious succor, but basic reprieve from the stone-cold floors. The bedding, simple yet generously layered, operates as both comfort and insulation, a nod to the desire for warmth amidst chilly medieval draught. The bed itself, often a family heirloom, boasts grandiose carvings of history enshrined in each notch and flourish. It stands as a testament to the heritage shared on this night, drawing couples together under embellishments that speak only to generations past. The linens, far from dainty, are robust, able to withstand the wear of restless nights and uncertain ambience. Consider now a mainstream historical fact. Many medieval chambers were communal spaces where privacy was more the luxury than the norm. Families and servants often shared cramped living quarters. Though the wedding night could prompt a temporary reorganization, the fleeting gift of solitude as temporary as the night itself. Amidst the playful humor of the evening, a fringe tidbit emerges. In some homes, pets like cats might be kept close, believed to guard against restless spirits or rodents. Shadows cast by small oil lamps play with time, their flickers intertwining with familial lore, suggesting a cozy cache of warmth and momentary peace. Historians still debate whether these accommodations offered sincere comfort, or whether they symbolized another layer of medieval multitasking, blending pragmatism and tradition with expectations of harmony. Was it a means to endorse unity, or simply a nod to the endurance intrinsic to sustenance? Now imagine the facetious flash of uncertainty, offset by careful optimism as the couple, heady from an evening underscored by ceremonial procession, steps into this world. They engage with curiosity, exploring a space imbued with both familiarity and freshness, and delineating personal stories within inherited spaces. Listen for the sibilant grass sigh of bed sheets. Feel the padded rustle underfoot that cushions steps along stone floors, scent-captured echoes of preservation within filled eaves. This conjugal resting place wraps around Themis' sleeping realm, underlined by the hum and tremor of life's unbroken circle, of expectation turned tangible and guarded dreams laying in repose. It's an intricate pause in the night's journey, a moment laced with the anticipation of what exists yet to be embraced. Here, encased in these walls worn smooth by the many who came before, the weariness of a long day dissipates into whispered freedom. Beneath this adorned shelter, a gentle creaking cradle sways with the nighter silhouette held cherished before dawn, where rest and love unite beneath the midnight sky. It's a vision matched to clash by the nocturne, where medieval and modern linger as one entwining, cradling comfort in what binds past and present upon a bed of shared history. As the night deepens and shadows draw long across ancient stone floors, thoughts turn to the transition from the grand celebratory feast and solemn rituals to the private expectations of the wedding night. The air, thick with a juxtaposition of excitement and weariness, raises a silent question. What awaits within the confines of this medieval chamber? Imagine the anticipatory silence that envelops you upon stepping into this domain, a canvas yet to be filled with the colors of newlyweds' experiences. The chamber, draped in the whispering shadows of flickering candlelight, becomes a stage crafted for intimacy wrapped in tradition, with the air subtly imbued by the musky scent of worked leather and the faint tang of burning tallow. The expectations set by the day's pageantry stand tall within these walls, a well-known yet unspoken guide that has shepherded many through this night. Yet, reality seldom mirrors anticipation perfectly, a truth that transcends centuries. As the couple acclimatizes to this cloistered setting, the simplistic furnishings and storied bed act as both the setting and veritable witnesses to the mingling of both hope and apprehension. Practicalities flutter into view. Consider the noble linens, albeit a tad scratchy to the modern touch, an attempt at conjugal comfort menage with earthy practicality, yet twisting around the newlyweds' limbs with a resilience reflective of the union itself. The bed, a family heirloom, creaks under the weight of history and expectation, invoking the silence with a weighted authority that lends a restrained voice to these private hours. The dichotomy between expectation and reality is striking here. Mainstream historical narratives suggest the wedding night was heavily laden with societal duties. This wasn't merely a private celebration of love, but an institutional ratification of lineage and alliance. Lamplit shadows narrate the unique tapestry of individualized rituals that vary from couple to couple, offering a canvas painted anew each wedding night by the brushstroke of personal history. In a moment of levity, midwives or older family members might humorously attribute a bride's blushing reticence to notions of antiquated charms, such as the iconic fancy cloaks hiding secretive healing herbs for added courage. A quirk of medieval humor plays back as a tender, fragmented dance amidst fluttering nerves and instinctive reactions. This humor glimmers as a quicksilver distraction, adding an unforeseen lightness to an otherwise steadfast present. Historians maintain a fascinating debate as to whether or not these nights fostered genuine affinity or succeeded merely as contractual obligations undertaken with a sense of duty. This reflection spins across the wheel of time, where history entwines with humor and happens as much by belief or bashfulness as through ceremony. In the intimacy encouraged by soft night shadows, the gestures once banned by formality become imbued with quiet truth. Intimate whispers evoke a myriad of emotions, melancholic curiosity giving way to endearing laughter within the night's secret embrace, drawing closer to what intertwines them in this vegan-era ritual. Outside, a distant owl serves as a spectral marker of time slipping quietly past. Succumbing to the charms of the medieval night, where both silence and laughter pirouette through the darkened room, the married couple finds themselves bound beyond tradition's draw, their own footsteps whispering new stories upon the storied track of this hallowed event. And so the night unfurls, brimming with the promise and vulnerability both inherent to life. The warmth of their shared humanity graces the intimate realm they're building as the medieval world swirls softly along. The tip of a brush painting whispered promises, shadows pirouetting across the chamber until dawn settles softly upon their unconscious forms. The night whispers its secrets only to them, while the world rests in expectant slumber, a private theatre of relationship staged within time and tenderness's embrace. As the night moves forward through its quiet procession, a somber layer of societal expectation clings to the medieval marriage chamber, like a shadow drawn across a brightly coloured tapestry. Within these walls, intimacy intersects delicately with obligation, as the newlyweds are thrust into the cultural necessity to provide evidence of consummation, a marriage test bathed in whispers and laden with the weight of tradition. This expectation looms large, much like the intricate tapestries hanging beside the bed, their rich textiles telling tales of legendary unions and heroic deeds. The candlelight flickers as if in cahoots with these stories, subtly illuminating the space in a conspiratorial dance. A heated reminder that the night is not merely for solace, but is, in part, a public affair. It's a curious juxtaposition, the deeply personal becoming implicitly public. Throughout medieval societies, the need for proof of consummation served as a validation of marriage, securing alliances and ensuring the legitimacy of heirs. A blood-stained sheet, quietly displayed or discreetly noted, serves as silent testament, a historical fact that binds this rite to practicality and politics in equal measure. Such tangible expectations permeate the atmosphere, threading themselves through the romantic air with a low, insistent hum. This turning of private moments into a matter of public discourse casts a disorienting glow over the evening as the couple navigates the strange and intimate territory between duty and destiny. Despite its weight, this tradition is but one of the many rituals forming the backbone of medieval marital ceremonies. To soften such stringent expectations, quaint humor often finds its way into the narrative and inside. Jest, perhaps, recalling how some daring brides have been known to pre-stain sheets with animal blood or berry juice, a playful nod to social critique wrapped in practical rebellion. From the jigs of minstrels to the knowing chuckles of older relatives, these soft rebellions illustrate the nuanced webbed tapestry of humanity weaving through the old order. Historians still debate the extent to which such customs stemmed from genuine necessity or from the more bureaucratic desire to forge societal order. Were these customs an essential societal glue, or did they serve simply as matters of theatrical pretense for outsiders looking in? This unresolved inquiry remains woven into the fabric of these centuries-old rituals, permeating the silence like a suggestion of impractical propriety. As night elongates its shadows, the couple navigates this ceremonial path, with steps unhurried, yet profounder, quiet deliberation, mapping itself across their shared history and future promises. Their vulnerability, a lightweight fabric adorned by the attending energies of companionship and warmth, softens the edges of tradition's mantle, melding within the wave of dreams cresting consciousness. As candlelight shifts softly upon their faces, love within duty breathes ephemeral and graceful, itself a testament to time's relative passage, standing still within the embrace of ardent hearts lit from within by curiosity and care. With consummation's ritual blooming into understanding, their hands entwine like vines along a trellis, roots stretching toward the horizon, where history whispers softly upon the midnight wind. In this room, with the sacred privacy enveloping their tender moments in its velvet embrace, the night becomes theirs alone at last, encircling them tightly against the outer world. As they drift into slumber, bound by the night's expectations and their shared journey of inhaled sighs and exhaled dreams, a new story unfolds. A tale spun not from pages, but woven between hearts, lying serenely in the gentle cloak of the medieval night. The medieval night wears on, layers of velvet darkness draping the corners of the room, swaddling it in a tangible-seeming hush. Yet, beneath the stillness, a persistent worry prowls that reaches far beyond marital expectations or familial duty. It's a concern, rarely voiced yet omnipresent, that clings with a chilling finger to the fabric of medieval life, the looming threat of illness. Even amid celebrations, where joy has been as richly embroidered into the evening as the gowns and garments worn, the shadow of disease is never far. As the glows of festivity retreat into the fringes of the night, and laughter abates to a murmur, you find yourself contemplating the silent spectres that move unseen. These halls, once bustling with life and echoing with laughter, could easily become breeding grounds for maladies that spread like wildfire through the close-knit gatherings of guests. Illness within medieval life required little invitation to wreak havoc, a frail guest brushing against an unsuspecting soul, perhaps some unnoticed tainted morsel echoing yesterday's jubilance. In this pre-antibiotic era, the heavy air of the medieval night carries with it the scent of uncertainty. From the simple chill borne on the wind to more sinister plagues, the fear of sickness permeates as deeply as the smoke curling from nearly extinguished torches. Underneath the woven strands of wool and linen on the bed, the weight of vulnerability is tangible. A mainstream historical fact lies here. Rampant diseases such as the plague and other infectious illnesses were omnipresent threats, often exacerbated by the close quarters shared by guests. It's a silent passage through these times, an unwelcome participant in communal gatherings, whose presence is felt as an invisible breath moving beneath the warmth of shared stories and meals. Yet, within this somber narrative lies the peculiar resilience of medieval folk. A fringe tidbit of intrigue emerges as guests donned amulets or charms against this invisible enemy, often small pouches filled with rosemary or marjoram, sewn and worn close to the body. These beliefs, part medicine and part folklore, serve to ward off pervasive afflictions, a whispered promise of health, cloaked in earthly fragrance. Amidst whispered tales of malaises, feared in the imagination just as much as in reality, historians argue whether these gatherings were a balm against or an invitation to ailment. Was it camaraderie that formed a bulwark against nature, or simply fate's indiscriminate hand weaving through designs left unprotected by ancient science? In the stillness, the night embraces the chamber with a gentle, unerring grip, shielding it from the prying eyes of whatever lay beyond its walls, be it festive or fraught, dread or delight. The couple lies tucked within this moment, the weight of days unspoken until illness, present as spectre, steals the night like a moonbeam closing the door behind it. Yet within the darkness lies a lesson unabated, the resilient beat of life that thrums through the uncertainty. The illness's shadow is never absent from the medieval world, but nor is the light of community and unyielding persistence resilient as the souls that pass through. As the night drifts on, sheltering these quiet murmurs and half-formed dreams, the spectre of illness falls gently away, overrun by the burgeoning warmth of new dawn. Through this perfect imperfection, you witness a testament to hope, love, and resilience, embroidering itself into the eternal fabric of history hearts, still beating within the warmth of narrative's embrace, where hushed whispers tell stories of survival against the turning wheel of time. The night continues its slow procession, the medieval world spinning quietly beneath the watchful gaze of stars hanging high overhead. As you swallow the lingering warmth of shared stories and laughter, another aspect of the night emerges: the ever-present need to navigate the unpredictability of uninvited guests. The medieval celebration, for all its luster and charm, holds the gentle promisand peril of being a gathering ground for unexpected visitors, both corporeal and spectral. Consider the jubilant gathering, open like a blooming flower to countless guests, with many a distant kin or friend expected. Yet, in the breathless excitement, there exists an openness that can attract those uninvited, lurking at the fringisa shadow among the light, an unknown face among familiar ones. Under the cover of darkness, revelers may find themselves sharing their wine and bread with those less savory, their laughter woven unwittingly into tales spun by unexpected arrivals. It's not merely the temptation of free feasting that draws these figures. The conditions of the medieval world, equally woven from kinship and strife, make such gatherings an attractive target for brigands or opportunistic thieves as well. Word travels swiftly along the grapevines, whispered on cool breezes, through taverns and markets, slipping between alleys, until it reaches ears attuned to profit amid chaos. Here's a historical fact worth pondering. Many a medieval host employed guards or stationed trusted relatives at strategic points to oversee security, their presence subtle and discreet, yet undeniably effective, ensuring the night's seamless progression. These watchful sentinels, woven into the very fabric of the evening's cast, serve as barriers toward any potential ill will waiting like smoke to untangle a celebrant's well-spun night. But beyond earthly concerns is the ever-mystical dance with spectres from folklore, those spirits said to wander to such joyous gatherings, their intentions as varied as the tales that birthed them. The whispers on the wind tell of benevolent fae, lured by music and laughter, to bestow blessings or meddlesome spirits stirred from their rest, intent on mischief. A quirky custom unfolds in rural regions, where guests toss salt over their shoulders, offering a warm invitation to good spirits and warding off those less welcome. The debate continues within scholarly circles. Were such trespassers myths born from superstitions, or grounded fears manifesting in diverse forms? Are the whispers of existence in these shadows of the imagination, or echoes of truth resounding between stone walls and lively tongues? Back in the warmth of festivity, laughter fills the air, seasoned with the savory tendrils of expectation laced with ginger. The guests carry on unworried, propelled by merriment, yet curiously aware that each face encountered could tell a new story, a drifter's tale, woven into the medieval narrative, richer for the curiosity it inspires. In this expectant night, the bridal couple stands at the heart of a living tableau, painted by the mingling of light and shadow, tradition and change. Their steps, once guided by rigid custom, now drift freely toward the honest, unscripted dance of human connection, a narrative that echoes beyond the stories of another, pulsing with the life found between pauses. The candles flicker, glowing like echoes of 1,000-star banister of light, following the trail from dusk till dawn, painting warmth onto stone-cool floors. For guests both expected and uninvited, the medieval wedding night holds tales spun from the threads of laughter and leavened bread, unorthodox yet timeless. In an era defined by its divergent cast of characters, from spectral to fleshly interloper, society reaffirms its rigorous heart. A dance performed on the cusp of myth and reality, where every guest, no matter how uninvited, plays a role in the shared theatre of life. Under the canvas of ancient stars, every face, shadow, and murmured voice adds stitches to the medieval tapestry. A unifying vision, embroidered with dreams carried like a banner through untimely night. The midnight hour stretches languidly across the medieval landscape, the heights of revelry giving way to the softer murmurs of intimate conversation. As the glow of festivities wanes, the comforting hum of life transitions to a more subdued tempo. Yet, within the stone chambers and timbered halls, another omnipresent threat demands attention: the fire hazards lurking in the darkened corners. Imagine the flickering dance of candles, their weak flames casting warm but precarious light upon the thick, ancient stones and wooden beams. Fire, both a trusted ally and a fierce adversary, occupies a central place in medieval life, providing light, warmth, and a focal point for evening gatherings, yet holding the potential to unleash devastation at a moment's notice. Within the muted symphony of crickets and distant revelers' laughter, the air is rich with smells of wax and smoke, mingling with the richer scents of the lingering feast. Consider now the flammability of the scene: rushes strewn across floors, brought to life by errant sparks, and tapestries adorning walls, long tendrils hanging in wait for accidental ignition. It's a quiet reminder of the innate risk that shadows every flicker of light in this world, an art and caution intertwined. A commonplace historical fact sits at the heart of this dance. Fires were an ever-present risk in medieval structures, their wooden components and thatched roofs particularly vulnerable. Nightly life prompted an intricate ritual of snuffing candles, covering embers, and securing flames, weaving a silent choreography of safety best relied on by responsible hearth tenders and bleary-eyed hosts. In a nod to the quirks of medieval life, the night is rich with a particular tale: to ward off fires, households might leave a bowl of water by the firesid, an aged token of protection against mischievous sprites, rumoured to coax the flames into unchecked merriment. This gesture, at once practical and steeped in superstition, serves as a living metaphor for the balancing act between reverence and vigilance. Historians still debate whether the common citation of spontaneous fires was due more to carelessness or mere fate. Was it the tethered wick that lay blame upon eager revelers, or simply circumstance manifesting as misfortune? This duality, perched between myth and misstep, scripts its own narrative across wooden walls and woven curtains, a reminder penned on the fabric of time. As the wedding guests drift into slumber, the guardian flames stand sentinel, watchful yet contained, under the eye of dutiful sentinels who each hour tow the dimly glowing echo upon the larger gathering. Their footsteps whisper of watchful guardianship as they extinguish excess flame, ensuring that warmth remains complacent during the heart of the night. Their routine, a guardian's hymn spun with wholesome assurance. Into this vigil falls the bride and groom, now sequestered in quieter reflection within their chamber. With the task of easing embers settled, they find themselves wrapped in the warmth of each other's presence, the glowing heart of the hearth, casting shadows of splendor and serenity. The dance of firelight across their faces captures an essence of shared humanity, a delicate bond forged in shadow and shining in laughter. Thus the night spins gently onward, between light and flame, conscious of vulnerabilities and weaving reassurance into the spaces between. With each breath taken, a new story finds seed upon ancient circles woven around stone, an expression of life's weave between peril and peace, radiant in warmth's soft sighs. And so the medieval night holds its many tribulations and triumphs close to its chest, surrounded by the flame's tempered glow. What is left is not just the tale of fire, but of the journey through risk and rejoicing, strung along by shadows and dreams bound together timelessly. It's a dance that will find completion only with the dawn, when the embers shall fade as sunlight casts its luminescent threads upon the waking world. As the night gently unfurls, and the festivity begins to wind down into quieter currents, another less visible tradition starts to reveal itself within the medieval tapestry: the playful antics and mischief that accompany such gatherings. It's when the rooms buzz with the sleepy din of voices, the ginger whispers of good night, that the age-old custom of pranks and jokes begins to emerge, almost like a rite of passage, echoing through these storied halls. If you listen closely, you might hear the shuffling of feet, the stifled laughter of wedding guests who, invigorated by wine and camaraderie, embark upon jovial capers meant to amuse and lightly vex the newlyweds. It's a spriteful discretion shrouded in love and humor, a shared ritual that adds a light-hearted sheen to the gravity of marriage and merriment. Picture young men arranging the couple's chamber with cleverness and care, seeds sprinkled between sheets, or a bucket of water precariously perched above the door. A quaint historical tidbit finds its place here. Such festivities often warranted the use of strategically placed farm creatures, such as clucking hens or braying goats, introduced to the bedchamber as an unanticipated wake-up call. These raucous, harmless pranks are not scarce but rather anticipated trials to initiate the marriage with laughter. These antics are but a reflection of the light-hearted spirit the medieval mind cherished within structured tradition. Pranksters' jest woven into the celebration's gravity, serving to lighten the burdens or sorrows often too real in medieval life. It's merriment, wrapped in jest, told in undertones of reverie that echoes the broader celebration. While historians might find themselves debating whether such extemporaneous jests were rites of binding fellowship or nuptial nuisance, their presence in wedding folklore is undeniable, a curious harmony between chaos and customs. Do such pranks underscore community's presence, or do they speak to old-world disorder, embraced with humor and humility? The couple, sequestered within their chamber, may find themselves the unwitting subjects of roguish humor, their own laughter bubbling amidst mild alarm. It's an assuredly unexpected moment of mirth, painting smiles even amid the perplexing interruption. Beyond closed doors, the echoes of laughter mingle with the night's sacred serenity, enveloping guests who venture into further tales. Some regale allies with tales of weddings past and pranks best executed. Others converse with ghosts imagined in shadowed halls. The pranks themselves, small acts of audacious delight, become stories retold at evening's gatherings, pieced through the fabric of time. In this setting, humor glistens like torchlight, reflecting upon stoner harmony of mischief, threading through solemn celebration, creating a momentary mirage wherein all burdens may be lifted, softened by shared mirth's magnolia brush. As laughter slips into night's embroidered continuity, the edges of darkness fuzz, softer and beckoning in invitation, sewing threads of unity unknowingly into every inch of the tapestry. Therein resides the privilege of companionship, renewed with each tale surfaced from memory's own recollection. In these shared breaths of night, authentication imprints its own, forged not only through solemn vows, but by the insights and laughter that accompany every exceedance. As the soft steps of scampering mischief-makers return, familial alliances solidify over whispered joy, a reassuring hum through hallways once bustling with merriment. It's a gentle symphony of medieval life, hearts lightened by laughter, even within love's labyrinthine making. As dawn draws near, watching to close the night's panorama, these impressions left by jest become part of the personal histories, imbued with glints of delight and echoes of smiles. The night twinkling with 1,000 stars of laughter concludes, with the promise of shared tales and new beginnings still untraveled. A luscious journey, a jest made not for oneself, but for the life collectively embraced, sublimely nestled between love and legacy. As the night's embrace tightens and the festive echoes give way to a hushed, serene atmosphere, an often overlooked but omnipresent aspect of medieval life comes vividly to the forefront: the challenge of maintaining hygiene. It's a topic woven into the fabric of these celebrations, affecting both attendees and newlyweds as they face the particulars of medieval personal care. While the guests wind down from a night of laughter and festivities, the reality of scents and hygiene peeks through the perfumed air, presenting itself in a fascinating juxtaposition. As you visualize stepping through the chambers and corridors, imagine the mingling aromas of sweat, heavily spiced foods, and the faint musk of body odora, once commonplace olfactory accompaniment to any medieval gathering. The guests, dressed in layers of ornate clothing that testify to their social status, navigate the evening in a world where bathing is often viewed with suspicion. Picture the efforts taken to mask these earthy scents. Herbal sachets tucked into gowns, and floral arrangements strategically placed to lend their fragrance to the revelry. It's an aromatic dance that adds another layer to the rich sensory tapestry of the event. Hygiene, in its medieval form, is a curious mix of superstition and practicality. In this era, bathing regularly raises concerns of vulnerability to disease, where water, thought to open pores, might invite illness into the body. Instead, washing hands, face, and at times mouth were emphasized, supplemented by dried herbs and oils as a protective measure rather than an aesthetic choice. Imagine now the bride and groom, each standing in their chamber surrounded by the quietude of the night, embarking on their own personal rituals of cleanliness. These routines, deeply scribed with ritualistic undertones, involve lavender-scented waters for rinsing hands, mint leaves chewed to freshen breath, their public facade now peeling away to reveal a tender simplicity shared between them. Intertwined with these practices is a quirky fact. Rosemary was often worn as a wreath, not only during the ceremony, but throughout the night, as it was believed to ward off evil spirits and with them, illnesses. The herb's sharp, woody fragrance permeates the air, a botanical guardian of peace and purity as night deepens. Historians continue to debate whether medieval people truly perceived their cleanliness, rituals as adequate, or were driven by the constraints of their knowledge and limitations of resources. Was this an attempt to mirror the mores of their time, or merely a solution to be pursued with faltering conviction amid whispered tales of water's dangers? As the couple finds solace in the passing of the evening, they share these tender routines, a layer of humanity beneath the layers of ceremony and tradition donned earlier. Their shared glances carry the understanding of this routine permanence, indulging in the comfort that sees beyond scents and smoke into the realm where hearts beat gently against the hush of the medieval night. The lingering essence of the evening's perfumes part earth, part enchanting appeal-dos more than mask inconvenience. It becomes a love letter to life lived richly, despite its rustic challenges. As the night's perfume mingles with the quiet breath of those resting gently within its embrace, it paints an invisible bond across Hysteria, shared experience of finding beauty amid life's inherent complexities. Here, among shadows and scents, lies the living grandeur of the times, where the echoes of recognition reflect the familiar beats of life's simple truths. As lunar light kisses the earth, the night gently retreats, leaving behind delicate whiffs of ancient artistry as messages answered within the heart. Alive yet subdued, the scent of medieval life mingles with hopeful morning light, a fragrant tale linking past to present with tender familiarity, enfolding stories of spirit, ritual, and quiet endurance. As the serene embrace of the medieval night lengthens into the small hours, the celebration, with all its layers of tradition and revelry, extends into the tradition of sharing wedding gifts. It's a practice filled with expectations and symbols, echoing through the vast hallways and into the twilight chamber where the bride and groom reside. These offerings, collected in tangible exhibition, provide not just congratulatory gestures, but tangible forecasts of the life ahead, a hint at prosperity, alliances, and even blessings whispered by well-wishers. Picture the bride and groom sitting together, a tableau of quiet anticipation, as the gifts are laid before them. Each item carries meanings far beyond their physical form. They are tokens of goodwill, embodiments of familial alliances, and symbols crafted from deeply rooted customs. The scent of candle wax fills the room, illuminating each object's visage in a soft golden huea reflection mirrored in their eyes, eager with curiosity. It's a medieval custom of nuanced intimacy, where gifts range from practical to ostentatious. Practicality may present itself in the form of livestock, such as sheep or geese, meant to nurture and sustain the household's prosperity. Traditional gesture, heavy with expectations and potential, these living gifts wander through the couple's future, offering tangible ties to the earth, prosperity tethered to land and life. Throughout the evening, the room fills with offerings, bolts of fine fabric for familial embroidery, ceremonial goblets etched with familial crests, and delicate spices tucked into ornate boxes. Each gift tells a story spoken by the giver's heart, a narrative of hope projected upon the kaleidoscope of lives now joined. Nestled amongst these treasures is a curious artifact, a quirky gift reflecting an old wives' tale. A small, whimsically crafted wooden hammer intended for the bride. Legend suggests it's used metaphorically to drive away misfortunia, dual embrace of humor and tradition that laces the night with playful lightness. The medieval mind, never free from suspicion nor laughter, cradles these delicate notations of life's vast possibilities. In the midst of this vibrant display, a historical fact twines its roots into the night. Wedding gifts in medieval times often doubled as security deposits or dowries, insurance, both emotional and financial, linking families and securing shared futures. Each piece surrounding the couple in this candlelit cocoon bears a noted significance far vaster than appearance may suggest. Historians continue to debate the duality of these gifts, whether their offering was a genuine outpouring of love or merely a societal construct binding both families in intricate economic contracts. However, here in the narrative heart of this enchanted evening, those debates melt away, leaving just the tactile truth of each piece's meaning. The couple's fingers dance across the tapestry of gifts laid before them. From linen's soft hues to glittering metals, these symbols transform the wedding chamber into a shared universal dreamscape, inhabited by possibility and profound connection. It's an intricate procession, culminating in a symphony bestowing kinship and trust. As the flickering light illuminates this wealth of promise, the essence of these offerings flows around the couple like a timeless river, cementing their bond to a past interwoven with the hopes of those present. It's a night not solely defined by expectations or negotiations, but colored with whispers of affection and warmth, enriched by shared bonds that linger like fragrant inscriptions on the night's cool breath. With each gift unpacked, unfurled, or surveyed, the medieval wedding night unfolds layer by layer, meaning by meaning, into the realm of tangible anticipation. Like a melody that recalls the healer's hands, massaging gifts alive upon tapestries embroidered in memory's thread, the night whispers this eternal ritual's joy, well after the twilight fades, connecting past ideals to the promise of new beginnings. As the night inches towards dawn, its velvet tapestry pierced by the first whispers of morning light, the couple finds themselves contemplating various medieval remedies and practices intended to ensure vitality and prosperity in marriage. The intertwined philosophies of healing and well-being sit at the heart of their shared journey. A peculiar aspect of this era, layered with both knowledge and superstition. Imagine the air, filled with traces of burnt herbs and soothing oils, a careful blend designed to sway the fates in favor of the newlyweds. Medieval medicine, complex yet deeply symbolic, plays a role not just in healing the body, but in cultivating harmony within a marriage. The soft glow of candlelight flickers upon the small vessels and talismans laid before them remedies, channeling past wisdom carved intricately into bone and amber. Consider the mainstream historical fact that most households stored core herbs for remedying common ailments, chamomile as a sleep aid, garlic to ward off disease, and peppermint for digestion. These were not merely ingredients but lifelines, bridging the mystical and the mundane in everyday life. They tell stories not just of healing, but of the primal dance between human existence and the natural world. At the heart of this aromatic tableau is a peculiar medieval tradition, a quirky infusion of healing and myth. A small vial of theriac, a concoction of potent herbs and spices believed to cure multiple ailments, rests at the center. This wondrous panacea hints at medieval ingenuity and belief, born of alchemical dreams and medieval apothecaries' earnest attempts at holistic solutions. A debate among historians remains. Did such remedies embody authentic healing, or were they elaborate placebos graced with tradition's hopeful touch? Where does the boundary lie between science and superstition in a world painted in shades of grey? This question casts a thoughtful reflection upon history, challenging assumptions as modern as they are primal. In this realm rich with whispers of ancient knowledge, the couple partakes in gentle rituals as the cycle of the night draws to its inevitable close. They dip cloths into cool waters infused with herbs, placing them tenderly upon brows, a quiet nod to customs intended to beckon pleasant dreams and restorative sleep. It's an elegant coupling of science and sentimenta, reassuring ritual that brings the distant past close to heart and home. As the first light of dawn stretches its fingers across the gradually brightening chamber, the The symbolism within these remedies transcends the material, evolving into a conduit for connection as old as the stones carrying their promise. The couple's laughter echoes lightly, each note interwoven with remnants of spice and petals, drawing forth the threads of legacy laid entwined in the covers they share. Wrapped within the warmth of rediscovered traditions and personal vignettes, the couple drifts effortlessly into an embrace, each inhalation softly weighted by earthly tinctures drawn from time's eternal apothecary. This dance of ritual and reality carries them quietly toward a hopeful horizon, beacons of hope, alight with morning's promise. With the medieval knights' tightly spiraled stories, knotted now into their shared becoming, the whispers of healing weave an earthly magic that stretches from stone hearths to heavenly constellations. In the heart of these remedies lies the entirety of human experience, all delightingly imperfect, yet treasured dearly by those who make it so. And so, the night turns toward gentle daylight, where the tangible gifts of the past blend into the fresh embrace offered by the arriving dawn. It's a quiet passage through time, a marriage between herb and history that beckons new beginnings and marks the tireless heartbeat of lore, painting life once again in resplendent view. The first light of dawn stretches lazily across the medieval landscape, a gentle caress heralding the newness of day, yet the night's reflections linger for you to ponder, particularly the political alliances and agreements, often woven into the fabric of medieval marriages. As the warmth of the sun filters softly through drawn curtains, warming the stone chamber, a realization dawns with equal intensity. Marriage is often served not merely as unions of hearts, but as the carefully crafted alignments of power and influence. In this medieval world, where land and legacy interweave with lineage, a marriage contract is as much a treaty as a personal bond. Families, like strategists of a finely tuned chess match, view these unions as opportunities to forge or solidify alliances, navigating intricate networks spun across borders and within bastions of power. This was not merely love's domain, but a map upon which futures were carefully plotted, a living document, etched more in expectation than affection. Imagine a parchment unrolled before you, detailing agreements and stipulations that accompany this union. They're written in flowing ink that glistens with the promise of fruitful alliances and the weight of expectations placed upon the newlyweds' shoulders. Beneath these agreements lies a tapestry of familial ambition, a realm where cattle, territories, and even castles might change hands as easily as whispered vows. Yet within these formalities, a quirk of history echoes marriage by proxy, where a stand-in could wed on behalf of an absent spouse, recognizing their bond by proxy as a political maneuver. It's a custom that underscores both the practicality and peculiarity of political alliances, woven tightly into the medieval marriage scene. A mainstream historical fact remains clear. Political alliances through marriage were instrumental in maintaining peace or extending influence. Such unions often carried consequences that rippled beyond the chapel's confines, affecting lives at courts, villages, and far-flung provinces with lasting resonance. Historians continue to delve into whether such alliances brought stability or simply mirrored an era's tumultuous natura dance along the fine line between influence and independence, where the heart's desires became entwined with dynastic ambition in vivid, untold harmonies. In these early hours of their awakening, the couple may sit side by side, contemplating the invisible, intricate threads tying them to an unbroken chain of history, their shared life now about more than their bond. The quiet light pausing at their feet illuminates the balance they must nurture between personal affection and familial expectation, a reflection not just of their relationship, but of the paths laid out for them by choices made long before. As you sit among the shadows and embrace their shared journey forward, you perceive the myriad possibilities beneath the agreements their marriage encompasses. The promise laced with each clause doesn't merely speak of constraints, but reveals a broader canvas of landscapes shaped by trust, love, and above all understanding. And thus, they find themselves poised at a threshold, forged by centuries of tradition and dreams, the ground beneath them fertile, with stories ripe for planting anew. Together, they become both scholars and architects, embracing their entwined destinies with the conviction that comes from love, adorned with purpose. In the breadth of this tapestry lies the gift of possibility. Not merely structures of power cast across their path, but a gathering of hearts, joining the greater sphere of who they might become together. The political complexities that once seemed daunting now fall into place, transformed into a resolute new beginning beneath the gentle morning light. As the sun rises higher, painting fields and peaks with its golden brush, the narrative stretches beyond the window's view-its, fingers weaving promise amid political shrewdness, loving intentions, and an ever-present note of strength. This dance of destiny and devotion beckons toward a horizon crafted by hand and heart, carefully tuned elevator, softly ascending to melodies yet unsung. As the sun continues its gentle ascent, bathing the medieval world in a soft golden glow, the unfolding day brings into focus the deeply embedded gender roles and power dynamics that characterize this era's marriages. You find yourself reflecting on the intricate dance between societal expectation and individual agency that steers the lives of medieval couples. In this medieval tableau, the roles of husband and wife are delineated with a firm hand by tradition and law. The husband, typically viewed as the household's provider and protector, bears the weight of decision-making responsibility, a figure carved from custom, his life mapped out by duty and dominion. His realm extends from fields to markets, and his voice carries the authority of lineage. Imagine the cultural weight on his shoulders, where even the most personal decisions are shrouded in collective aspirations. The groom, now a husband, must navigate a lattice of expectations that extends far beyond the intimate nighttime chamber into the broader interplay of kinship and accountability. Choreography known deeply and performed willingly, if not always effortlessly. Conversely, the medieval bride's journey navigates a different realm, charged with domesticity and nurtured care, grounded in provisions and hearth. Her role, though tempered by societal norms, carries potent significance. She holds the loom of family life, weaving the threads of prosperity and kinship into the reassuring fabric of daily existence. There's a palpable duality at play. Though her path is ostensibly bordered by household boundaries, her influence extends into matters of estate management and social graces, rendering her an indispensable beacon of wisdom and resilience. A quirky note here. Queens and noblewomen often wielded considerable power behind the scenes, proving adept at navigating the corridors of influence through letters, counsel, and strategic marriages. A mainstream historical fact enriches this narrative. Marriage was often less a partnership and more a delineation of roles deeply entrenched in social structures. Each partner's identity intertwines in a dance, at once harmonious and complex, tethered as much by love as by expectation, passion braided with quiet fortitude, even as the relationship transitions from the pomp of wedding feasts to the rhythm of everyday life. Historians still engage in vibrant discussion about whether these roles provided stability or stifled potential, whether they were roads paved with promise or mechanisms maintaining the status quo. In these inquiries lies a rich dialogue that continues to animate the passage of time, echoing through corridors lined with adventure and discovery. In the quiet moments of the morning, as silvery beams slide their slender fingers over warmed stone, the couple awakens to the shared reality of these roles, as tangible as the tapestries adorning their chamber's walls. Their glances convey an unspoken understanding, an elegant balance of tradition embroidered with genuine fondness suggesting paths they shall walk together, learning to dance within the bounds of expectation, yet allowing room for their own composition. This medieval landscape, with its nuanced relationships, becomes the space where dreams negotiate with Dutya partnership, layered in subtlety, where stories birth, not conflict, but rich textures that strengthen the newfound tapestry they now weave. As you watch morning fully unwrap its splendor over the horizon, there is comfort in knowing these roles, though rooted in antiquity, remain open to evolution. The couple is poised to explore beyond these confines, forging a shared narrative that broadens with each shared breath, lifting love into realms yet drawn in the sand. Here, embraced by the warmth of life and nestled within the expansive continuity of being, they've leapt into inheritance, forging bonds that go beyond the prescribed rules, discovering a shared freedom born within the intricate dance of roles, redefined by their own heart-driven choreography. As the sun shines brightly, the tales of time await, encouraging each step as they navigate the harmony between heritage and heart. As the first rays of dawn spill over the medieval landscape, infusing it with the gentle promise of day, a subtle transformation takes place. The couple, now emerging from the cocoon of their first shared night, steps hesitantly into the freshly minted light of the morning after. This moment marks not just the beginning of a day, but the inception of a new chapter of life woven together by the tapestry of marriage and reality. Within the confines of their chamber, there is a palpable shift, the transition from the celebratory haze of the wedding to the tangible responsibilities and rhythms of daily life. This morning, suffused with potential, is both a threshold and an invitation, revealing the nuances of partnership awaiting exploration. Imagine the quiet expectancy within the small room as they rise, the soft rustling of fabrics handled gently, the warmth of morning sun pooling in patches over stone floors. This sunlight, moving through open windows, brings with it the scent of the world beyond fresh earth and blooming herbs, a gentle reminder of life that pulses vigorously outside these walls. The morning after a medieval wedding is occupied with customs and nuances that serve to gently guide the newlyweds into their roles. Friends and family may gather around with light-hearted stories and supportive gestures, their presence a subtle grounding force, echoing the world's ever-turning cycle ready to embrace them as part of its own. Over a simple meal of bread and fresh cheeses, perhaps sweetened with honey, the couple finds the world opening once more, their newfound union given form in daily interactions. Here, in these tender exchanges over breakfasting simplicity, layers of apprehension or uncertainty begin to dissolve, unfolding into mutual understanding and companionship. The couple is keenly aware of the expectations woven into the very fabric of their lives, yet there's an undercurrent of determination present a desire to shape their shared future with both love and mutual endeavor. The ability to sustain growth becomes as vital as the commitments made only hours before, their foundations supportive of nurturing and strength. There's a charm, too. The sharing of tokens and keepsakes among those present, small objects imbued with memory and meaning, exchanged with knowing smiles, quiet acknowledgements within the bounds of tradition, woven seamlessly into the shared experiences of those gathered. As they step beyond the threshold of their room, hand in hand, they navigate through a world bright with possibility and unfinished echoes. It's here, in this sunlit corridor, that the texture of daily routine becomes interlaced with aspirations, a vital blend between love and labor, even as the first interactions with neighbors occur, offering waves and gentle touches of camaraderie. Historians often discuss whether the tension between personal desires and societal expectations forged stronger marriages or simply tethered souls to their sanctioned roles. This morning, as the world unfolds, there is no definitive answer, only the quiet hope that resonates within each step and word, a shared venture created anew each day. The morning light stretches its golden fingers over this couple's path, encouraging them to embrace every twist and turn with a spirit of grace and adaptability. It's a tapestry continually knitted together by laughter, love, and shared endeavors, a woven sanctuary fashioned against the backdrop of life's continuous and cyclical turn. With morning comes the promise of engaging mind and heart, bringing traditions of past into dialogue with fresh hopes. This journey, navigated both by ancestral guidance and the love that binds them, stands as an enduring monument to the bonds of marriage, endlessly unfolding beneath a welcoming sky. As the day unfolds and the journey truly begins, this medieval couple steps convincingly into their shared future, finding their own narrative amid the interwoven tales of history, culture, and personal growth. It's the dawn of a new era, both for themselves and for the story spinning delicately around them, carved into the wood and stone of the medieval landscape, shared venture illumined by the tender light of morning. As day claims its rightful dominion over night, the medieval world blooms into life. Yet, as the couple opens their door to this new dawn, they find themselves gently cocooned in the quiet reflection. A new day brings a tranquility that softens the intricate tapestry of their lives now woven together. This morning, unlike any other before it, shimmers with a distinctive glow. The first full light of shared existence seems to cast a hue upon everything they see and touch a realization of a bond meticulously crafted by ancient traditions, heartfelt vows, and laughter tinged with the vulnerability of shared humanity. The world outside draws them, gently urging the newlyweds to explore their surroundings, the meandering paths of their shared village, the fields stretching beyond sight, whispering promises, as old as time yet fresh in their unfurling nuance. It's a landscape carved by history, where whispers of the past echo softly, urging them forward. In this unfolding day, the couple encounters the vibrant chorus of everyday life, the rhythmic calls of traders setting up their market stalls, the comforting clatter of homes stirring alive, and the cheerful greetings exchanged by neighbors. These sounds, woven with warmth and gentle familiarity, form a symphony that swaddles their every step in an embrace crafted by community and mutual care. As they move through this mesmeric tapestry of sights and sounds, the world itself seems to acknowledge their union, congratulating them with the tinkling laughter of a brook, the sweet melody of birdsong, and the luminous smiles of those who briefly pause to wish them well. It's an acknowledgement that they are part of a grander scheme, a shared existence that embraces them warmly and without reservation. Within this peaceful interlude, the newlyweds linger on what the present brings, a delicate dance illuminated by the day's light. Each gesture and exchange is painted in hues brighter than any before, a testament to their shared promise to explore life's chapters with curiosity and kindness. This day, full of reassurance, allows them to settle the newness of their bond into the rhythm of life itself, alighting possibilities imbued with the faith of those who've journeyed before. It's a chance to forge a partnership that echoes throughout time, becoming a part of the ongoing narrative that stretches from horizon to horizon, filled with the harmonics of hopes realized through perseverance and love. And as the sun ascends to its midday glory, spreading warmth and clarity, the couple finds themselves woven into this ancient story, a tale that flows through valley and forest, binding cities and villages alike in its embrace. As their steps mark the earth, they tread with assurance upon well-worn paths, creating footprints that merge effortlessly into the fabric of the world. The day whispers gently into their ears, speaking the language of dreams and destiny, encouraging them to unfurl this shared life before them with bravery and purpose. It's an invitation to partake in the dance of Lifa Ballet, where each note is a testament to the love that brought them here, and each pause holds the anticipation of the journey yet to be. In the richness of this passage from night to day, within this sphere of existence crafted by ages and shaped by love, an eternal promise lives on, nurtured by shared hope and whispered under the shelter of starry skies. As evening comes to gather the day into its fold, the quiet promise of night returns, soft and gentle, reverberating with tales as enveloping as dreams embrace. Thus, as the veil of dusk softly descends to close this day's chapter, swathing the earth in night's delicate mystery, one realizes the medieval marriage is both a celebration and an embarcazione, lifelong journey, buoyed by the strength of shared history, beckoning toward infinite horizons yet discovered. Together, they stand poised on the cusp of the future, encased in the tender glow of love and tradition, newlyweds in the oldest sense, nestling into the rhythmic story as they curl into dreams beckon. And with that, dear listener, I invite you to let your own dreams drift, cradled by the tender echoes of history, enfolding you in its timeless embrace. Sweet dreams.